Hello everybody, VG Time back again for another deck profile. This time we're going to be looking at, as you know from the thumbnail, the Black Masked Saiyan Leader. This leader right here came out in set 5. It's kind of overlooked as most leaders were at the time. Main reason being was that there was the specter that was Janimba Mill hanging over the format, where unless you were playing certain hyper aggressive decks, you really did not want to be milling yourself during that format, because then you would just risk losing the game just due to your own deck's mechanics. But now that that deck has kind of fell off the wayside, and as we go towards 60 card decks, you'll see some of these burst leaders starting to come back. Now this guy right here got some indirect support because of the Vegex trial deck, and I'm hoping to be able to show you today updated build of this deck. And then when set 10 actually officially drops and this deck goes up to 60 cards and get a couple extra tools from there, I'll do another deck profile. So let's go over the leader. He has auto burst 3. When he attacks, you get the burst of 3 and draw a card. And then he has awaken at 4 or less life to be on a tap 2 energy and flips him over. On the backside, he becomes Power Thirst Black Masked Saiyan, and he has an activate main once per turn where you could burst 3 and choose a black battle card with cost 3 or greater and add it back to your hand. Now, some people did not like this effect because he did not draw you new cards, but I looked at it as he made your drop area a toolbox to be able to get the threats that you wanted. So after he does that, where he gets back the card, he does get plus 5k, so he's also a 20k attacker on the backside, which helps you to pressure your opponent. Now, in the Vegex trial deck, they gave us 4 trial deck exclusive cards, all of which work with this deck, because their only requirement is that your leader is a Black Saiyan, which of course Power Thirst Black Masked Saiyan is. So first off, we have 4 copies of Super Saiyan Gotenks Fusion of Friendship. This is the unison for the deck. He has an auto that if he is milled from your deck into the drop area and your leader is a Black Saiyan and you don't already have the unison in play, you get to play him. And when you play him, he gets a counter on him. So your leader from his bursting will be able to help fulfill this requirement. And when he comes into play with that counter, you can immediately tick him up to 3 and discard a card to make him a 15k. If your opponent doesn't remove from the table, you'll eventually get to the point where you can minus 4 and make him a 25k dual attacker to help close out the game. Next up, we have 4 copies of Supreme Kai of Time. This right here has the same auto as the unison, where you get to put it into play if it's milled and your leader is a Black Saiyan. And then it has an auto that says if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, it becomes a 0-10k combo. So it gives you even greater combo ability than before. This next card right here, I think is very strong, which is Time Agent Trunks. He's unique, so you can only have one of them on the table at a time. He's also a blocker, which if you happen to get the unison and him out at the same time, helps protect your unison. And then he has an auto where when he comes into play, you could choose one of your life and add it to your hand. And of course, he shares the same, if it's milled, auto as the first 2 cards. And last but not least, 4 copies of Time Agent Vegeta. He's also unique. He's a 19k 4-drop. And he has a permanent that if he would be removed from the battle area, he goes to the warp instead. And an activate battle where you could pay 2 colors energy, or 2 energy basically, to warp an opponent's battle card with cost 3 or less. Because that's activate battle, and a lot of people don't realize that he has effect text on him other than he comes into play. You could catch some people slipping when they go in on a battle card. You just pay 2 and get rid of it. So to make this deck a little different, I'm going to go down a route that is not Universe 3. I'm going to start off with 3 copies of Vegeta Time Regulator. Vegeta Time Regulator is a boon to Overwhelm decks. So he has an auto once per turn that if you activate Overwhelm, you get to choose up to 2 black battle cards with a cost from 2 to 7 in your warp and put them underneath your deck in any order and draw a card. But you only draw the card if you put at least 1 card back. As far as our Overwhelm for the deck, our main Overwhelm card is 3 copies of Masked Saiyan Beguiled Warrior. This card right here came from the anniversary set, and I believe it's a heavily slept on card because it does something very powerful. It overwhelms for 4 and 1 energy. It has an auto that when you play it, you could play a black battle card with Masked in his name, would cost 5 or less from your hand. So that makes it so that you will get 2 battle cards onto the field for 1 energy, and one of them gets to stick around. The main target for this card is 3 copies of Black Masked Saiyan Splintering Mind. This guy right here is removable because when he comes into play, he just has an auto that warps an opponent's battle card. And then he is also win condition because he has auto Sparking 7 that allows you to warp 2 your life to warp one of your opponents. So if you get him down to the 1 life and you have at least 3, you should be able to win the game. Then we have 2 copies of Time Trauma Masked Saiyan. You can also play this off of Masked Saiyan the Beguiled Warrior. This is your self-awakening tool besides the trunks. It allows you to take up to 2 life to your hand to warp opponent's battle card would cost 5 or less, only if you took a life. Then we also have 2 copies of Masked Saiyan the Mysterious Warrior, the OG Masked Saiyan. This one right here also overwhelms itself, so it's overwhelms for 5 and 1 energy. And when you play with Overwhelm, it has an auto that allows you to warp battle cards up to a total of 5, excluding blockers. He's 20k in double strike, and if you play him off of the Masked Saiyan the Beguiled Warrior, you do not get the Overwhelm effect, but he is still virtually a free 20k double striker that you played when you played the Beguiled Warrior. And last, for the Masked Saiyan cards you can play off of them, we play 1 copy of Black Masked Saiyan the Devastator. This guy right here is also a win condition. He's a little less reliable in this deck. I'm kind of just playing him just because. Continuing with the Overwhelm, 2 copies of Bardock Awakened Instinct. Very powerful card, also from that anniversary box. That allows you to draw 2, discard 1 when you Overwhelm them. And then last, Fu Shrouded in Mystery. This guy right here has Overwhelm 10, cost 6, and he basically shuts off your opponent's card skills for the turn, unless it's like a leader. And he's 30k double strike, so he's also able to close out a game. So you don't have to worry about the negates, the blocks, anything like that. Now moving on to utilities. 4 copies of the Bibbidi Primeval Conjurer Super Combo. To me, this is a no-brainer. I could take an argument for the Trunks Sparking Super Combo that draws you a card because of the fact that we do play Black Masked Saiyan the Devastator. But honestly, the way this game is kind of built, unless you're going against very particular decks, there shouldn't be a situation where your opponent is not playing any Saiyans. Even like androids and cells play like the Kid Goku Ape and maybe even Bardock Raider's Warcry or something like that. So you should be able to have at least a couple of Saiyans in your opponent's drop area, and then you just have to have some in yours and you'll be able to fulfill the requirement. 3 copies of Dark Power Black Masked Saiyan. This guy right here has the auto when he attacks. You can take a life to your hand, he gets plus 10k. We don't really use them for that because we have other cards to help us self-awaken. We're using them for his second auto, which is the powerful Floodgate auto that says that if your opponent plays a battle card with a non-keyword skill with power 15k or less, they have to discard discard 2 cards for that card. This is not a once per turn auto. So let's say you're going against the Black Saiyan Mirror like Vegex. They mill cards and they hit a Supreme Kai Time and a Trunks. If you have this guy on the table, they are pretty much pressured not to put those cards into play, because if they do, they will be losing 4 cards in their hand. Same thing is the case if you're going against the Cell matchup, where they're putting into play, the Android 17 and the Cell itself, because those are also being done with non-keyword skills. They just activate mains and stuff like that. Next up, 2 copies of Son Goku making an entrance. This guy right here is a counter attack, negates the attack and play himself. He's paired along with 2 copies of Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence. This is the Infinite Saiyan rare for black. So that requires the deck to be mostly black, because you cannot have a black card in the public knowledge area. So that means your energy to play area, leader area, unison area, drop area, or warp. But when you play this guy, he comes out for 1 by warping the Goku that I showed you earlier. He's a 25k double striker that is allowed to put 4 cards that are black and battle cards from your warp into your drop area to help you to fuel the overwhelm that the deck has. 4 copies of Power Burst. This right here helps you to get back the Son Goku making an entrance negate. He also gets you back your Masked Saiyan or even your Supreme Kai Time to help you be able to combo out of attacks or combo greater into attacks. So, very strong card. And because it's just sparking the gate, you could take a life instead of paying its cost. And last but not least, from the anniversary box, I tell you, there's so many gems in this box that I believe that if you could find it for the cheap, you should go ahead and get it, because you get 2 copies of all these cards in it. If you can get a couple of them, you're great. From the anniversary box, 2 copies of a Kraken Space Time. This card right here gives your Black Saiyan Leader 15k and double strike. So when your leader goes up to 20 and you need to close out a game, you could swing with them, put a Kraken Space Time on them, put a Bibbidi Super Combo on them, and it should be more than enough to get you through, unless of course you're going against a Black Mirror match, in which case you might have to do a little bit more. So that's it for this deck profile. Hopefully it shows you that the Vegex trial deck, though is powerful, it's not the only way to go about playing those cards that are in the deck. It actually works in other decks and with other strategies other than hyper rushdown, like the current builds are. Thank you for watching today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out other videos on this channel and follow me on Instagram at the name below in the description. This is VG Time, signing out.